Espresso shots, Joan. Cheers. So this is a little bit of blue sky espresso with a little bit of brown sugar. Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me.
We're starting now.
Sorry. Okay.
So welcome to Espresso Shots. My name is John, and I'm here with Joan Barrett from
Bear Mountain Boats
in Westport. So welcome to Espresso Shots, Joan. Cheers. So this is a little bit of blue sky espresso with a little bit of brown sugar.
Oh, yum. Thanks for having me, John.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, I might never leave.
It's not bad, eh?
It's delicious. Wow.
So you can sip away at that, and we're also having a coffee because don't want to hit it too hard this morning, Joan.
No.
So yesterday we had our first ever small business coffee break at the Cottage Coffee House on January 14th on Monday. So we invited some business owners from Westport out to have coffee and chat. We had about 12 people out, I think, yesterday, Joan? Mm-hmm. And
it was great.
Yeah,
really good to get together and on a Monday morning. Got the week going really well for me.
You get energized sometimes when you go with the little things. You go, oh yeah, that's kind of gets me going again, right? And I think that was the nice thing about it for sure.
Oh yes, as many people who are self-employed know, that you work often in isolation. Even though you might have people helping your business,
yeah,
you're the brains behind it and
you're
everything else.
You're in a vacuum.
Yes, yeah.
So out of that, Joan talked about something that she's working on. But before we get to that, so you and Ted have been doing this for well over 40 years. Started in 74, but really 1972 it started with Sundance Canoe, I think it was called.
Yes.
And then sold that. But I just kind of read the bio on your website, and the impressive thing is, so Ted gets a canoe and says, I could do this better than this. Mm-hmm. And decides that he's going to do it. So really a DIY guy, do-it-yourself kind of guy, and really learns how to build canoes and kayaks and boats. And from there leads you guys where you are today with quite a trail of accomplishments along the way, including writing a handful of books that are being translated into different languages and are still relevant today as when they were written. So that's quite an impressive thing to say.
Well, thanks. You've done your homework, I'd say. Ted's the quintessential maker. You hear so much about the maker movement these days. Well, Ted, when he was in his late 20s, decided he wanted to make a living using his hands, although he didn't really have any formal training in anything. And he looked at a canoe and thought, well, that would be a good way to make a living. So he figured out how to build a canoe and went into business, and he's been in business ever since. And that's the essence of doing stuff. You see something and you think, well, I could do that, or I could make it better, and he's a tinkerer.
And you had a bit of an open house last May or June. Mm-hmm. Cynthia and I went up anyway. Mm-hmm. I had a chance to go through the workshop and see all the boats, and I can't recall all the lingo, but are they called sprinters or?
Yes. So over the years, our business has evolved. We built a stone house in the middle of the bush in northern Ontario and started building canoes. But we realized soon that people didn't really want to buy our canoes, although we did sell canoes. They wanted to know how to make them, and we found that's sort of it's a Canadian thing. We didn't have the wagon to open up the country like they did in the U.S. We had lakes and rivers, so people built their own canoes, and the skill was being lost. And so we developed some. With the help of Harrowsmith magazine and author Marilyn Simons, we developed a book on how to build your own canoe. Yeah. So that's really been the basis of our business. Ted thought, well, we'll write these instructions and then no one will bother us anymore. They'll stop asking questions. But in fact, it's what we built our business on. Yes.
And I think you're right. People are getting back to making things themselves and things that are tangible and they can touch and feel rather than application-driven web stuff. So then along the way, you kind of get involved with Nick Offerman, and Nick Offerman approves your product. So Nick Offerman, if you don't know who that lad is, he's a
funny guy.
He's on Parks and Rec, one of the main characters. He's actually in, I think, the second season of Fargo, and he's in another movie that I can't recall. But when you see his face with his beard, you'll know exactly who he is. And he's a comedian, actor, builder, a bit of everything. And so you've worked a bit with him as well, and you know him a little bit.
Yes, we know him quite well. He's been an amazing friend to our business. He called us up 15 years ago and wanted to buy some canoe plans, and I talked him into coming to Peterborough, where we were located then, and to pick up some canoe materials and talk about making a video for us. And he went back he was spending a year in New York City because his wife, who is Megan Mullally, was working on Broadway starring in Young Frankenstein with Mel Brooks production. So Nick had to find something to do. He'd always supported himself while he was learning to be an actor at making things. And so we gave him canoe materials. He went home to New York City, where they were staying for a year, and built a canoe.
So I have a question for you. Do you learn to be an actor, and do you learn to be a builder, or are you a builder and are you an actor that just needs some assistance along the way?
Well, I think the essence of doing anything is studying it and doing it over and over and over again.
To get good at it.
Yes, to become, tinkering, doing things.
That's probably why I never became good at anything. I've never stuck to anything long enough to become well at it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat. I make a lot of things happen, but I don't make a lot of things.
Nice. So yesterday in the meeting that we had, you said, "Hey, I'm working on something for September the 12th and 13th,
The 14th and 15th.
14th and 15th."
Yes.
So I wanted Joan to talk a little bit about that, because I think this is quite an exciting thing. And I know the group that we had at 12 were all just kind of all eyeballs and kind of really attentively listening to what you're saying. So talk a bit about what you got going on in September.
Sure. Every few years, so Ted and I have been helping people build boats for 45 years now, build canoes, small boats, kayaks, teaching classes. And so I decided, many years ago, we started doing a little event. We called it a rendezvous. So we invited everyone we knew to come and spend the weekend at our place and bring the stuff they've made, talk about what they do. So I don't do it regularly, but we relocated our business to Westport in an attempt to downsize, and we needed a change, move closer to our grandkids. So we decided to stage a rendezvous, a maker's rendezvous, we're calling it this year, in Westport that weekend in September, the 14th, 15th. So we were inviting, through social media and through all of the people we know, we're inviting people to come to Westport and demonstrate what they do, or hang out and watch other people make things.
And there's nothing cooler than watching somebody work. You ever see construction on the road? All the old guys are sitting there like, look at that guy, look at him over there, look what he's doing now.
That's right. That's right.
And it's true, when people are working, I've watched some chainsaw artists do their things, and some welders and fabricators do the thing, and it's fun to watch people create. Or glass blowing is another one where you kind of watch them kind of through the whole process. It's cool.
Well, sure, and not only can you watch people doing things, you can demonstrate something that you like to do, or there will be opportunities for you to learn how to do something. So
I'm glad you've said that, because I don't know if you know this, but I'm a bit of a wood worker myself, and I've been doing it for a little while. So I wanted to demonstrate some of my skills right now to see if this might qualify as one of the patrons, or one of the vendors,
exhibitors.
Or
Yes,
the exhibitors.
yes.
So
all right. So what you got?
I have some wooden popsicle sticks here. So I learned this when I was young. So you basically make an X with these popsicle sticks, and then you make a line here. We used to call these, I guess we can't even call them these anymore.
Did you throw them at people?
Yeah, I used to call them a bomb, and I used to throw these, and they used to kind of blow up.
Wow.
But it's been a while since I've made one, Joan. But I thought this would really impress her if I can do this on camera with everybody watching me. And you know what?
You might want to push that.
I can't even do it
it's
anymore.
Okay, it's too early in the morning, and that espresso's making you a little jittery.
I tried. I'll practice that, but maybe I can come back and do it again.
Practice is the essence, right?
So anyway, getting back to the rendezvous itself.
Yes, so it's going to take place throughout the village of Westport. Most of the land displays will be down in front of, I call it Soho's. It's the greenhouse newspaper.
Beside the Catholic Church.
Yes, yeah. And Huey has really kindly offered to let us use the property there. Some people might spill over into the park. We're not sure. The the venue is more wide open at Soho's, and then down on the harbor. So people will be bringing boats. A lot of people will be bringing the canoes that they've built, and we'll have our electric boat there. We have an electric boat that's a replica of the old launches that used to go up and down the Rideau system that Ted built, and powered with electric technology and sun.
What's that boat called?
Sparks.
Sparks,
yes, the idea. So there will be lots of eclectic things happening around the village that weekend, mostly on the Saturday. For instance, if you want to learn how to paint outdoors, we have a very competent watercolor artist named Joyce Burkholder. She's going to be offering a 3-hour painting session. There will be Lee Valley Tools will come, and they'll have some projects for people to do. They're going to be demonstrating sharpening, and so we're open to anyone coming and bringing stuff or doing stuff. There's only a nominal fee if you want to be a supporter of the event. There is a dinner on Saturday night up at Schuermann's Winery, which of course you would buy a ticket for that. And one of the featured people at our event is a very funny fellow named Kevin Callan. He exposes people to the outdoors, one misadventure at a time. He has a website called The Happy Camper, and he's just a hilarious guy, a good friend of ours, and shows people how to do things in the outdoors. So Kevin will be there. And so there'll be lots of different things to do. And then on the Sunday, it'll be more low-key, and we'll have boats down in the harbor, and we hope to take people on a picnic cruise up to a beach, maybe at Foley Mountain. So
Okay, nice.
yeah,
Nice.
So that's kind of what the event is, and there will be information posted on our website where we'd like to know if you're coming. You don't have to pay.
I'm going to put some links in this video. I'm going to get some links from Joan for all these different events, your website, obviously, and some of the people that you mentioned as well. So if people are out there and they're interested in coming as a spectator, the dates will be there. But if you want to get involved more so, then you really should contact Joan sooner than not, because as you know, these things kind of roll along and then all of a sudden we're in September, so
Yes.
it happens pretty quick. So if you are interested in getting involved, contact Joan or send me a message and I'll be happy to forward it on to Joan as well.
Oh, that's great. And we also, I've been compiling a list of all the accommodation in the area within 30 minutes, because some people will need a place to stay. So if you have a accommodation that I'm not aware of and you want to send me the info on it, I can add you to our list.
Yeah, and that's a good point. If you're planning on coming, book your Airbnb or book your rooms now if you want to stay right in the village. But if you can't stay in the village, I mean, Perth is close enough. There's Brockville. There's other places you can stay within a half an hour to 45 minutes. You're in Westport. That's the beauty of Westport, really.
Yeah, we've had people already booking rooms in Perth because they wanted that kind of accommodation. Now, the other person who's coming to our event is a maker called Jimmy DiResta. He made the DVD with Nick Offerman for us, and we've become good friends with Nick and with Jimmy through the building world. So Jimmy is going to come and demonstrate something. He has a YouTube channel which has a huge following, and he makes a lot of different things. He sculpts in metal, and he welds, and he makes things out of leather, wood. So he's a really entertaining, lovely person to hang out with, and very interested. He'll be interested to see what people bring. There's a high school that's coming from Belleville. They've built 7 canoes at their school, and the kids are going to come and bring their canoe, one of the canoes, and just interact with people and talk about what they've learned by using their hands and cutting down the screen time. And
I think it's really smart and fun that you've moved not away from the canoe boat movement, but allowed makers to kind of get involved, because there are so many people making so many different things, and I think it's a great way to showcase that.
Great. Well, we're excited about it. We have no idea if there'll be 2 people or 200 people. We have no clue, but we're working away on it, and we really would welcome your ideas, and don't hesitate to give us a call. And
Well, want to hear my prediction?
yes.
It's going to be extremely busy. The streets are going to be packed. Everybody's going to be so excited about this event. They're going to book for the following year. It's going to be the event of the year.
Oh, great. Well, it's one of the little projects that I take on just to keep myself motivated and busy, and it's what I love about being in business is the people.
So let's switch gears.
Okay.
What's going on up at the shop? What are you guys working on up there? You got any courses going on or any
Yes.
building going on? Or?
Yes, we do. Busy year for us. We have a 30-foot racing canoe that's being built right now by Ted and Paul Price, who's our amazing
30 feet.
helper. Yes, so these are raced at the national level in Canada. It's one of the oldest organized sports in Canada. There's about 85 sprint clubs across the country. And a lot of our Olympic athletes would start off as sprint paddlers. So we're building one of those boats. We just restored a 30-foot canoe that Ted and I built in 1984. It was our second one ever built. Went to the Oakville Canoe Club, and we really didn't know what we were doing then, so we were quite relieved that it floated. And when the 15 paddlers climbed into the boat, it didn't go over. And they've been using that boat for 36 years. Yeah. And so Ted and Paul spent about 3 months restoring that boat. And then we've got classes coming up. We have 4 classes coming up this summer, and they're all fully booked. We've taken on a new instructor this year, Brent Kirkham, who's a great, talented artist, canoe builder from Perth. He's teaching 2 scale model classes, so that you won't be working on one canoe with a group of 5 people. You'll be building your own 4-foot model canoe that you'll take home.
Nice. So I'm sitting here thinking, I got an idea, because I've always got an idea.
Great.
Float that boat. Maybe I'll put in a thing called Float That Boat. You build whatever piece of boat you want, and you got to paddle it around the harbor. Yeah. And if you make it around the harbor, you qualify for
yes,
the big prize.
Well, yes,
Float that boat.
Often at boat building shows there are competitions. Our friends in Kingston who build aluminum boats had one at their event a couple of years ago where you were given 2 sheets of metal and you had to make a boat out of it and then race around the inner harbor at Kingston against the other teams.
Oh, so you're given a set of materials, and
you have to cut them out, and so there's a possibility for a cardboard boat competition.
Yes.
And we only need someone to organize it.
Well, I think that would be me. That sounds like something I could handle. Cardboard and duct tape kind of boat thing.
Well, in the UK, people have these boat building competitions where you have to power. It's propelled with a drill.
Okay.
Yeah, if you Google it sometime, you'll see some quite hilarious things.
A battery-operated drill.
Battery. Yeah, you take your drill and you figure out how to make that boat go forward with it, and then you race other people. So I think one of the workshops that Lee Valley will offer, we're hoping, is a little elastic-powered boat project that kids can make. So there'll be stuff for all kinds of people to do, no matter your age, there'll be something. And
how many of these would it take to make a canoe?
A lot.
Like
well, a 30-foot canoe? Well,
or like a 10-foot canoe.
Well, so in a 16-foot canoe, you need about...
And would that float?
Yeah, it would float. It's wood.
Wood? Oh.
Yeah. So a 16-foot canoe, you need about 1,200 lineal feet of 1-inch planking. So you do the math, John. Well, we might be here all morning doing the math.
Yeah, I'm not great at math. I'll work on it. I'm thinking I could build maybe just a little one. Maybe I could just build a little one and put a small little motor in it. And Neil was saying that his kids are really... Yesterday, Neil Kadrinko was sat in the meeting, and he talked about his kids really loving Princess Auto, Lee Valley, because they like to tinker, pull things apart, put them back together. And YouTube is such a great channel for learning those kind of things.
Yes, we're hoping that Neil's son will come and show us the things that he's tinkering with. I mean, really... People who make things are, they're hacking the physical world. People originally thought of makers as people who were involved in high-tech computer projects, but it isn't. It's really people who do anything with their hands.
And it just demonstrates that this is not just for senior citizens or for adults that come out to this event. This is a family-oriented event for anybody at any age. Not 9 months old and 99 years old, really. Yeah,
we're going to have a campsite set up in the middle of things, and Kevin will be demonstrating
campsite
cooking.
Meaning people will camp there, or
no,
it'll just look like a campsite?
Yes. I go on a canoe trip every year with my old fogey friends. We call it the old fogey trip, and everybody's in their 70s, and some are further than 75, but we go on a wilderness trip for 10 days every year, and so we're going to set up our camp so you can see how to camp in comfort, even though you're going into the bush with nothing else, no other contact with people for 10 days. So we're going to set up our beautiful Wanagan.
You guys disconnect completely from the internet, no Wi-Fi, no calls?
Oh, there's no Wi-Fi where we go.
No 3G?
Yeah. Well, we take a sat phone in case one of us had a heart attack or something like that. But anyways, so we're going to set up our campsite, and you can see how we camp. And then Kevin will use that site to demonstrate some cooking. And our friend Ron, who leads this marvelous trip, is going to show people how to hand cane a canoe seat, or which could be transferred over to chairs, or so there's going to be lots going on.
It sounds like an awesome kind of an awesome event, and I'm glad you're organizing it, because I think it's a good one, and I want to be involved at some level, and I know I will be, whether I'm building a canoe out of popsicle sticks, or maybe I'm at that campsite showing you how to make an espresso without all the equipment, because it's not hard to do, but there's a few steps that are involved in that.
Sure.
So something along those lines, maybe I can get involved like that.
That would be great. We would really like that. And it's really low-key and informal. I mean, you'll get to meet lots of interesting other people and make some new friends. And
Why don't you throw your website out, Joan, and your contact email address?
sure, it's www.bearmountainboats.com. And my email address is joan@bearmountainboats.com. OAN, yeah. And Bear Mountain Boats is plural.
Nice. Well, thank you very much for coming out, Jonas. This is a great interview, and I'm glad to learn more about it. And yeah.
Thanks for the coffee. I'm glad I didn't have to do the shooter thing with it. I was worried about that.
You did okay. Look,
I got it down. I know. I'll be ticking along today, John. Thank you so much.
Well, cheers. Give your cup.
My real cup.
We'll give it a cottage coffee. Cheers. So, thanks for watching Espresso Shots, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. That's it, Joan.
Thanks, John. Phew, that was great. You're good at that.